What if your entire existence could be annihilated not by blade or poison, but by a single word? In the Roman Forum, the city's main square where everyone gathered for business, politics and gossip, that word was cinaedus, meaning an effeminate man, a sexual passive, everything Romans despised. And it was a death sentence delivered not by an executioner, but by society itself. You think cancel culture is brutal. Romans perfected social murder 2,000 years ago. In Roman culture, masculinity wasn't just expected, it was the foundation of citizenship itself. To be labelled cinaedus wasn't merely an insult, it was complete destruction. The word implied behaviours that violated core Roman values, taking the passive role in sex, displaying feminine mannerisms, showing militia, that dreaded softness of character that made you weak, emotional, unfit to be Roman. Here's where it gets terrifying. It required no proof, only accusation, no blood on the Senate floor or dramatic execution in the arena. Just a word that spread like disease through the forum, through the baths, through dinner parties, and that was just the beginning. Romans had a special punishment for unmanly men. They called it infamia, legal infamy, and it was far worse than death. According to the moral text of the era, this wasn't imprisonment or exile. It was the systematic stripping of every right that made you Roman, while forcing you to continue living among those who now saw you as less than human. The Praetorian Edict, Rome's legal handbook, listed those subject to infamy: actors, gladiators, prostitutes, and men who submitted their bodies to feminine use, all deemed to have sacrificed their masculine dignity, all condemned to the same civic death. Your right to vote would be gone. The assemblies that governed Rome would continue without your voice, like you never existed. Your ability to testify in court was worthless. Your word now carried no more weight than a slave's. In a society built on legal contracts, you became invisible to justice itself. Think about that. Someone could rob you, assault you, destroy your property, and you couldn't even testify about your own suffering. But wait, it gets worse. The cursus honorum, that sacred sequence of political offices from junior magistrate to consul, was now forever closed to you. A man who might have dreamed of wearing the purple-striped toga of senatorial rank couldn't even stand for the lowest position. Your political life was over before it began. The economic destruction was surgical in its precision. You couldn't bring lawsuits to protect your business, couldn't enforce contracts or pursue debtors who owed you money. In a society built on legal agreements, you became a ghost who couldn't defend his own property. And here's the truly vicious part. The stain was hereditary. Your sons would find doors closing before they could even knock. Your daughter's chances of finding respectable marriages would be slim. The family name itself became poisoned, carrying the taint of your supposed unmanliness into generations not yet born. Unlike exile, where a man might find new life in distant lands, infamy followed you everywhere Roman law reached. From the cold forests of Britannia to the burning sands of Egypt, from Hispania to Syria, the mark followed like a shadow. The entire empire became your prison. But if legal death was horrifying, wait until you see what Roman society did to these men in daily life. Roman society turned humiliation into performance art. For those accused of unmanliness, every public space became a stage for their destruction, and every citizen was both audience and actor. It started with the morning salutatio, that daily ritual where clients gathered at their patron's home to pay respects and receive favours. This wasn't just social nicety, this was how Rome worked. Business deals, political alliances, legal help, it all flowed through these morning gatherings. Now picture this. You're accused of being cinaedus. Watch your atrium empty day by day as dozens of visitors become handfuls, then complete silence. Former clients suddenly discover urgent business elsewhere. Even slaves find excuses to avoid your contaminated household. The isolation was total and it was just beginning. The public baths, those great social centres where Romans conducted business literally naked, became daily torture chambers, not with chains and whips, but with something worse, synchronized social rejection. You enter the tepidarium, the warm room where men gathered to talk politics and trade. Conversations die mid-sentence. Groups reform with backs turned, creating walls of flesh that exclude without words. Someone might loudly joke about Greek customs or feminine beauty, watching for your reaction, waiting for you to flinch. But the forum, that's where the real performance happened. Graffiti appeared overnight on familiar walls, not hidden in alleys but painted on main thoroughfares where everyone could see. Lucius takes it like a woman. The senator's son prefers to be conquered. Crude drawings that required no literacy to understand. Your name, your reputation, your manhood, all destroyed in badly spelled Latin and obscene pictures. Professional mockers made it worse. Actors performed skits with exaggerated hip-swaying walks. Mimes wordlessly acted out sexual scenarios that left audiences pointing and laughing. At you. You could only be silent and do nothing. Defend yourself, and you confirm the accusation. Walk away, and you're obviously guilty. There was no winning move. Even religious festivals offered no sanctuary. During public ceremonies, whispers followed like shadows. At sacrifices, priests might declare omens unfavourable when you approached. The gods themselves seemed to reject men who failed at masculinity. Here's what made it genius. No central authority coordinated this destruction. No one gave orders. Society itself became the mechanism. Each citizen knew their role without being told. Isolate, mock, exclude. The accused walked through Rome like a ghost everyone could see, but no one would acknowledge as fully human. That's the thing about social murder. It doesn't need an executioner when everyone holds the knife. Social murder was devastating. Financial murder made sure you couldn't survive it. In Rome, reputation was currency. Destroy a man's masculine reputation and watch him go bankrupt in real time. The Roman economy ran on personal networks, trust, and social standing. No banks like we know them, just relationships. Every business deal, every loan, every opportunity flowed through personal connections. Cut those connections and you cut the man's financial throat. Here's how economic assassination worked. Day one after accusation, your credit evaporates. That loan you were negotiating suddenly hits liquidity issues. The merchant who's traded with your family for 3 generations discovers his ships are mysteriously fully booked. Polite excuses, apologetic smiles, but the message is clear. Your money is no longer good here. Week 1 brings new disasters. Business partners remember urgent obligations elsewhere. The wine merchant from Campania, the grain supplier from Africa. All develop shipping problems that somehow only affect your orders. Silent partners become truly silent, withdrawing investment without explanation. Legal reasons are always found. Romans were excellent at using law as a weapon. By month 1, employment becomes impossible. Think about it. Who would hire you? Teaching positions required students. What father would send his son to learn from a suspected cinaedus? Legal advocacy required appearing in court, banned the infamous. Military commands, provincial posts, priesthoods, all required the masculine reputation you no longer possessed. For senators, who were legally banned from open commerce but invested through proxies, the destruction was especially vicious. Those trusted freedmen managing their affairs. They suddenly remembered family obligations in distant cities. Agents developed scruples about their employer's reputation. The complex networks that allowed aristocrats to profit from trade while maintaining social fiction. Gone overnight. Then came the death spiral. Property sales. First, you sell the extras, the Greek statues, the extra slaves, the seaside villa you visited twice a year. Buyers smell desperation like blood in water, offering half what things are worth. You take it because you need the money. Next, the essentials. Urban property that generates rent, productive farmland, investments in shipping ventures. Each sale is public. Each confirms your decline. Each makes the next sale more desperate. The price is worse. Finally, the family home itself. That ancestral property held for generations, where your father's father was born. Sold to pay debts that accumulated because no one would do business with you anymore. Here's the truly vicious part. Poverty became proof of guilt. Romans believed the gods rewarded virtue with prosperity. If you were truly innocent, surely you'd maintain your wealth. Your economic destruction became evidence of moral destruction. The system created its own justification, destroying men financially, then pointing to their poverty as proof they deserved it. One account describes a former praetor, a high magistrate, reduced to lending money in back alleys at illegal rates, the only business left to him. Another tells of a once wealthy merchant surviving by attaching himself to criminal enterprises, the legitimate economy completely closed. But even this wasn't the worst fate awaiting the unmanly. The worst was being erased from existence itself. The final punishment began after you died, or sometimes terrifyingly, while you still lived to watch it happen. For Romans, true immortality came through memory, through sons carrying your name, deeds recorded in history and monuments proclaiming achievements. To be labelled unmanly was to be denied all of this, not just killed but unmade, not just forgotten but deliberately erased. Every noble Roman house had its imagines, wax death masks of ancestors displayed in wooden shrines. During funerals, actors wore these masks, literally bringing the dead back to witness their descendants' final journey. The family's history lived in these faces, painted family trees connecting generations of honour. But for the man declared unmanly, his mask would never join the display. The process was methodical. Family archives kept on wax tablets could be scraped clean, leaving gaps where names should appear. The elaborate genealogies painted on atrium walls developed mysterious blank spaces. Future generations would notice but never ask. Some silences were too dangerous to break. Public erasure followed private. Names were literally chiselled off monuments, leaving smooth scars on otherwise detailed inscriptions. One stone from the Forum reads, "In the consulship of a scraped away, and Gaius Marcellus." Everyone knew whose name belonged there. No one would speak it. Statues disappeared overnight, their bronze melted down, their bases repurposed for worthier subjects. The public lists of magistrates, military commanders and priests developed gaps. Years where apparently no one held office, though the truth was different. Even bureaucracy participated. Tax rolls might be altered, census data adjusted, military service records lost, creating administrative ghosts, men who must have existed, the dates proved it, but who left no official trace. Here's where it gets personal. Private memory required policing too. Letters mentioning the condemned were burned, not by state order, by friends protecting themselves. That touching note from your brother, those business documents proving your success, that invitation to dine with a consul, all destroyed by people who once called you friend, now terrified of contamination by association. Dinner parties became minefields of memory. Mention the wrong name, recall the wrong year, and feel the room freeze. Children asking about gaps in family history, who was father's business partner, received sharp warnings. Some questions weren't meant to be asked. Some names weren't meant to be spoken. The erasure extended beyond death. No funeral rites, at least not public ones. No procession through the streets. No eulogy in the Forum. No tomb along the Appian Way announcing virtues to travellers. While other Romans built monuments visible from the road, the graves of the unmanly, if they received burial at all, went unmarked, unvisited, unmourned. One inscription, found in a private family tomb, shows the deliberate forgetting. It lists Marcus, son of Gaius, followed by Quintus, son of Gaius. But Gaius apparently had 3 sons. The middle name, gone, the space, filled with decorative carving as if the third son never existed. But here's the cruelest irony. We know about these erased men only through their enemies. The very people who destroyed them preserved them, in laws condemning them, in speeches attacking them, in graffiti mocking them. They exist now only as examples of what not to be. The Roman message was clear. Fail at masculinity, and you won't just die. You'll never have lived at all. The sun sets over the ruins of the Forum, but the methods Rome perfected for destroying its unmanly men never truly died. They evolved, adapted, found new expressions in new empires. Look familiar? The accusation of insufficient masculinity remains one of society's most efficient weapons, requiring no evidence, permitting no defense, and leaving wounds that never heal. Rome's genius wasn't in creating homophobia. Such prejudices existed before and elsewhere. It was in bureaucratizing gender policing into a machine that was systematic, legal, and economically enforced. They transformed masculine anxiety into something that ran on fear and produced conformity. Think about modern parallels. The workplace whisper campaign questioning someone's toughness. The social media pile-on because someone seemed soft. The sudden discovery that contracts need renegotiation, opportunities evaporate, networks close. Different terms, same structure, reputation destroyed, income strangled, existence erased while the body still breathes. What made Rome's system particularly vicious was its self-perpetuation. Every man who fell served as warning. Every father pointed out the destroyed to their sons, "See what happens when you fail to be man enough." The lesson sank deeper than any law. Masculinity must be constantly proven, constantly defended, constantly performed for an audience that never stops judging. But here's what they don't teach in history class. The Roman system contained its own contradictions. Emperors who loved too openly but were too powerful to destroy. Hadrian mourning Antinous with un-Roman grief. The graffiti of Pompeii revealing desires that violated every public rule. The very existence of laws against unmanly behaviour, suggesting how common such behaviour must have been. Power, not morality, determined who survived accusations. Julius Caesar was called the Queen of Bithynia for allegedly being passive with King Nicomedes, but Caesar commanded legions. He survived. The merchant's son with the same accusation, he disappeared from history. Today's societies inherited Rome's tools refined by centuries of practice. We've simply gotten better at pretending the destruction is natural, deserved, rather than orchestrated. The Senate House is now the boardroom. The forum replaced by Twitter. The graffiti lives on Reddit. But the fundamental mechanism endures, using gender performance as a weapon to maintain hierarchies, silence opposition, enforce conformity. Consider how we still police masculine boundaries through economic punishment for those deemed insufficiently aggressive, through social isolation for showing emotional vulnerability, through career destruction for violating unwritten gender codes, through digital erasure that replaces chiseled names on stone. The question isn't whether we inherited Rome's methods, it's whether we'll keep perfecting them. In the ruins of the Forum, tourists take selfies where citizens once gathered to destroy each other with words. The stones remember what we prefer to forget, that civilized societies can perfect cruelty, systematize shame, and call it justice. 2,000 years later, which modern mechanisms mirror Rome's ancient fears? How do we still commit social murder in the name of gender policing? What word in your workplace, your community, your feed carries the power to destroy? The answers aren't in dusty histories. They're in tomorrow's headlines, where someone somewhere is being erased for failing to be man enough. Romans called it Infamia. We call it cancel culture. The methods evolved, but the machine never stopped running.